Hooley and the Road to Chamonix. Hooley and his namesake Happy Hooligan both entered the world at the dawn of the 20th century. Happy Hooligan was a nationally syndicated weekly comic strip that was seen and loved by everyone around the world. Hooley was a lovable scamp that wore a tin can on his head because he couldn't afford a hat. He could also be found in all kinds of misadventures, just knocking his way through life. When asked later in life if Hooley liked his nickname, he said, "Sure beats Reginald." He was raised in the balmy beach location of Lakes of Ontario, where life revolved around the lakes and the Parkdale Canoe Club. Parkdale Canoe Club was countrywide famous for their championships and their yearly regattas. And Hooley and his brother Bill would often participate in the war canoe trials, where they won the national under-16 tournament. Bill also was famous for playing in a football game. Here's Dick Urban to tell you about it.
Grey Cup time always brings back a lot of memories for football fans, and I'm wondering if perhaps somewhere in our audience this afternoon there's someone who remembers the very first Grey Cup. Now, coming up is that 1909 game, and here it is, the University of Toronto and the Parkdale Canoe Club. 3,807 fans saw the game. Total receipts, $2,600. Toronto won it 26-6.
Although Parkdale fell short in the inaugural Grey Cup game, it certainly put them on the map as the club to beat, regardless of the sport, with their rowing and football championship games all leading up to this. They introduced ice hockey to the beaches of Ontario. Ironically, this footage was processed at the Edison Labs, which was responsible for also processing the Happy Hooligan cartoons. The Parkdale Club quickly grew into a powerhouse with players such as Hap Holmes on the left-hand side and a 16-year-old Hooley. Just as Happy Hooligan had made the transformation from a Sunday funny paper to a hand-drawn animated full-blown cartoon. These could be seen at the movie theaters every week as a one-reeler before the main attraction. And when we look back, these were all hand-drawn, and the effort that it took to build something like this. But just like Hooley, they were both moving on up. The bigger stage awaited. Hooley wasted no time, jumping right to the top, the epicenter of hockey, the Toronto Granite Club, the world-famous curling club who had also had hockey since the late 1800s. Hooley was 17 years old and immediately won back-to-back Allen Cups. He was the spark plug that made things move, which would only bring him to an even bigger stage. The first Winter Olympics, held in Chamonix, France. Beautiful setting for the first games of the Olympiad in the wintertime. And well on his way to continue his legacy. Here he is, the first photograph of the first Winter Olympics, Hooley carrying the Canadian standard. With this footage that we've been donated from Path France, thank you, beautiful footage. Hooley leads the way, introducing Canada to the world, where they could still smoke a dart on a toboggan. The entrance to the ice. The United States of America with 48 stars on the flag. Followed by Great Britain with their hockey history. And they do have claim to invented the game, so we shall let that lie right there. And Hooley leads the way again. As the youngest Olympian on the Canadian team, he was the face of the country. Host country France brings it in, surprisingly not smoking cigarettes. Michelin looking fine as they often do. And a lonely toboggan with a steering wheel. Also lost to history is the original puck was made of seasoned cherry wood, often cut from table legs. And the sticks were also revolutionary. This was the birth of the two-piece composite stick, first time used in an international tournament. They're a two-piece laminate made of ash. Now this is where the Olympics are. To pledge sport above all countries were invited, unlike modern days where politics has seemed to work their way into international gaming. Unfortunately, Hooley raises the flag for Canada and the Dominion. And there's nothing like a pre-skate of just letting everyone on the ice, where you could see this. The first look at Norwegian figure skating sensation Sonja Henie. Sonja would win gold at Chamonix at only 11 years old. And now we move to the hockey. Here's a look at the Canadian team, loosening up. Nice shot, pre-game. The Americans are warming up in the background. Hooley, of course, right there. That's Canada's youngest player. His identity was already sown worldwide. The Hooligan. The American team also represented quite well. What we're going to take note of here as we see them, there were no shin pads worn. A wooden puck and no pads, as you can tell by lack of boards. The puck very rarely left the ice. And here we go, the first game. Of course, Hooley takes the opening face-off. Wins the draw, drops it back to the defenseman. Defenseman spins around, an offensive rush. A 2-on-1 for the Canadians, moving it on quickly. Player down. He's fine. Skated off. Hooley did not knock him down, by the way. The weather conditions today were perfect for the game. It was 36 degrees with no wind coming off the Alps. What we will notice here is this is a 3-camera shoot from the French. One you're going to see was from shot up in a tree, one at ice level, and one in the bleachers. So this is put together quite well for its time. Here's a cameraman coming down to change film. And Hooley scores to break the tie and put Canada ahead 2-1. Some mildly aroused fans appreciated that, when cowbells were the noise maker of choice. Hooley with a nice spin around, and a big save. Unfortunately, there's no instant replay at this era, so you'll just have to rewind it and watch it again in slow motion on your own. Harry Watson had scored a few goals to put Canada up 4-1, and then Hooley scores again. Of course he did. This is his documentary. He can do whatever he likes. Needless to say, with time winding down, the Canadians clearly in control. Some beautiful footage. Beautiful game. And the time's clicking down, so let's take a look around the stadium. The women are all wearing men's clothing because it's much warmer. And the Canadians win 6-1. The first gold medal is going to the Dominion. The crowd is wildly worked up to a frenzy of and after a steamship home, as there were no airplanes at the time for that, Hooley comes home to the grand welcome. And the Beaches were the first one to have him back, showing off his cufflinks and gold medal. Not unlike his protagonist, Happy Hooligan. They're in it together. Hooley is now the prize of the NHL. With a bit of a bidding war, who's going to grab the Hooler? The Ottawa Senators grabbed the Hooler as they're building a new building and rebuilding their former team. champions for a while, they put the new team on Hooley's back. This was going to be his team.
Wherever they are, whatever they're doing, wherever sport fans get together, hockey is news. Good news. Good enough news to bring us from the fireside, crowds of us, gay, hopeful, good-natured crowds. They're out for a good time, for excitement and thrills. And it's the crowd that keeps it alive and growing. It's the crowd that makes national idols of its favorite players.
And we are in for a hotsy-totsy match. Dominion bragging rights here at the Ottawa Auditorium. The Boffo story tonight. Hooley Smith now healthy enough to suit up. He's missed a fortnight with diphtheria. Nothing that couldn't be cured with a bucket of leeches.
Hooley had become the face of the NHL, launching a 17-year career. What could possibly happen? That'll be the focus of part 2.